Welcome to the Hudson Show. Coming up, NayNay and I try s'mores ramen. Also, how sports could be the key to a happier life. All that and more on the way next. It is the Hudson Show from RadioU. Thanks for downloading and press and play here on the episode. We'll start with this. An update on the coffee maker situation. In the previous episode, it happened on Friday. We had an issue where the Keurig here at the RadioU studios over and over again just kept exploding, sending off grounds into the coffee to the point where, I mean, it was just making a mess. Coffee was undrinkable. The resolution of the situation, Chris, our very own Moneybags, has replaced the Keurig with a brand new one. It's a Ninja. It's very nice. It's very exciting. And it's fitting that it would be Chris Moneybags going to do that, not because of the money situation, but because he is our coffee guru here. So while we are okay typically drinking, just straight out of the Keurig, if you want something a little better, a little finer, a little more elevated, Chris is who you turn to. And that's why coming up on the next episode of the podcast, you're going to be hearing from Chris. We've got him coming in. I think he's making pour over, but nevertheless, he's going to be preparing some coffee from one of our bands, Gable Price and Friends. And we're going to be tasting that here on the Hudson Show. That's coming up on the Friday episode. So all that to say, very excited and very thankful for Moneybags resolving the coffee situation. Also, I've seen this going on. The Tour de France is taking place right now. And just about every day, because the spectators are allowed to get so close to the riders, there's always some kind of issue, it seems, where a spectator, causes some havoc. But this is the reverse. A French rider in the event, Julien Bernard, has just been fined over $200 American for kissing his wife during a time trial. He actually paused, stepped off of his bike, kissed his wife. It looks like she was holding their child there as well, and then continued on his ride. And this is during the middle of the event. According to the International Cycling Union, they call that unseemly or inappropriate behavior during the race and damage to the image of the sport. This rider has said that he'll happily pay whatever it takes, it sounds like, to be able to continue on kissing his wife. I don't blame him. That's the right thing to say. You definitely should say that. And while it does seem a little ridiculous, them fining him for this, I was thinking, well, let's put this in like American sports terms. What if Patrick Mahomes brought Brittany Mahomes down on the field in the middle of a game to kiss her? That'd be a little weird. Or if he went up into the stands while play was going on to kiss his wife. I don't know if we'd fine him for it, but it would be a little odd. But then again, if a nearly naked fan came out onto the field to throw chips in Patrick Mahomes' face, we wouldn't allow that either. And yet, that's something that actually happened also at the Tour de France so far this year. It's the Hudson Show. I'll tell you, starting today off, it wasn't that I was kept up too late last night, but I was kept up later than normal because I like sleeping with the window open. And outside of my window was a frog. And I actually like it. I like hearing the nature sounds. I like hearing the frogs. I like having not to put that on YouTube or Spotify, not having to get nature white noise. I just get it from actual nature. But last night, the frog was particularly near my window. It was particularly loud. And that's one thing. But what's interesting to me, what I'm always struck by, curious when something like this happens, is there was a frog in my neck of the woods. And then a frog that was in my neighbor's yard somewhere. I could hear them both. Obviously, the one outside my window, incredibly loud. And they're going back and forth. And what I want to know is, what are they communicating to each other? What are the frogs saying? And why do they have to say it from a distance? Why could they not just get closer together? In fact, that's what I imagine. The one frog's like, hey, come over here. The other frog's like, no, you come over here. And they're doing this in it's at a very distinct rhythm. And then every once in a while, it would take a little while longer for the other frog to respond, as if they had to think about what they were going to say. No, you come over here. This one's got a pool. No, you come over here. This one's got an in-ground pool. No, you come over here. They haven't cleaned their pool. It's all scummy. Oh, sick. Like, I don't know what the frogs are talking about and why they have to do it from across several yards. Although, I don't know, maybe it's different when you can be that loud and you don't care about everybody else. maybe that to them, that's just how they have normal conversations, is like 40 yards apart from each other, just shouting about, I don't know. I'm assuming it's something to do with pools and water because that's what they seem to like. Not sure. Maybe it's something with the bugs. Don't know what the frogs are talking about, but it did keep me up for a while. And I could have just closed the window, but, them's be the breaks, I guess. Think now's as good a time as any. Let's address the elephant in the room. And I commit this is the only time we're going to mention this today because we're here to have fun on the Hudson Show. And there's nothing fun about what happened in Pennsylvania over the weekend, but I think it's important to bring up. So first of all, we're very fortunate that things didn't go worse that they did, that the assassination attempt on Donald Trump was unsuccessful. Obviously, we're just a fraction of an inch probably away from things being much even worse today than what they were over the weekend and how they are right now. But we're fortunate that Donald Trump's doing okay. Our hearts go out here and our thoughts and prayers are with the family of the individual, I believe, who lost his life. It is very sad. And yet again, I think we could be in a much worse place today than we are if things had gone just slightly different. And so I'm thankful for that. I also think now that is a time for us to reflect and possibly have some lessons, have some takeaways. It feels, a bit ridiculous, I guess you could say, because this is just one individual committing something crazy, some kind of crazy act, and then we're all supposed to look back and see what we can learn from it. I think this is a time for us to think about what lessons we can learn as we do. Like, this could be a very tumultuous time as we approach the election. And so what can we each do? Because I saw a lot of people saying over the weekend, things like brace yourselves. Things are about to get unfathomably dark. Things are only about to get worse. And to me, maybe this is just my optimism speaking. I tend to be an optimist, but I see that and I say, well, it doesn't have to be that way. And we can't control what other people do, but we can each control ourselves. And so it doesn't have to be a time where everything gets dark. It can be a time where we each say, well, I'm going to make sure for me, that's not what happens. And for me personally, and I think for many out there, it is a time to remember that no matter what is going on, first of all, be patient, be cautious in what you say. And I think that goes for all times. It goes for politics. It goes for all kinds of other things. I also think it's a time to remember that political parties, political movements, leaders, even entire countries come and go. But when you have a relationship with God, that Jesus does not come and go. And so your allegiance, when you have a relationship with God, is more to him than any form of politics, than any issue of the day and anything going on. And yes, yet again, I don't think I need to tell anybody out there. I hope that, violence isn't the answer. I feel like we all know that. But we also can do what we can to tone everything down. We can each do what we can to remember what's truly important and to not let things get out of hand, even in the conversation. We can all just be more loving to each other, more patient, and yet again, more cautious. And remember that no matter what we are going through in day-to-day life and in the stories of politics and whatever, that you have hope when you have a relationship with God, that even if things going on in the world do not seem particularly hopeful all the time, Jesus is always there to give you hope every single day. If you're ready for that, if that's not something you're familiar with, and today is a day where you're like, how can you be hopeful at a time like this? Start talking to God. Say, hey, Jesus, I want some hope. I need that. And he'll give it to you. Absolutely. And you can find out more if you want at RadioU.com/free gift. Well, I'm sure a majority of Americans are more than happy with the two predominantly used methods of cutting a sandwich. I'd hazard to guess that a fair share of us would also be open to exploring, identifying the idea, entertaining the idea of a third way to cut a sandwich. Enter the Y cut, which is being claimed as the ideal way to cut a sandwich. Obviously, it is what it sounds like. You cut your sandwich into a Y shape. Why would you do this? See what I did there? Here's a quote from somebody in Popular Science. That's where I always turn for how to cut my sandwiches. Claire Lauer. She says, it lets the eater start with 3 bites they know are going to be good, as in they will have even distribution of fillings and condiments you get at the center of the sandwich. Also, those 3 bites, no crust. You get 3 guaranteed bites where you don't have to have crust if you don't want, and the center perfect combination of ingredients. I see the argument for it. I'll tell you why I'm not going to do this, though. It's because I don't need to start doing like geometry when I'm cutting a sandwich. You know what I mean? Cutting something that's circular into even slices is already enough of a challenge for me. Cutting a square, it's pretty easy. You just do the diagonal cut. That's what I do. Some people do straight through. I don't need to start trying to get isosceles triangles or whatever this is supposed to be. Would you rather watch a movie with your dog or your significant other? Got people chiming in like Elijah, who says, I'm single as a Pringle. I'm going with dog. Okay. We also have Regina say significant other because we can talk about it if we want afterwards. And other than her cat, occasionally, all the dogs she's owned or any pets rarely will sit and watch TV anyways. I'm in that same boat too. I've never had a dog that was really too interested in actually watching what was going on. But it sounds like we're in the minority because a new study has come out that has found that 43% of Americans would rather watch a movie with their dog than with their partner, which beat out the other options, which of course was partner or unsure. So 43% of people prefer the dog. So now you're wondering why? Why do people want to watch a movie with their dog instead of with, I don't know, the person that they're dating or married to? The top reasons given were 1, dogs don't interrupt. 2, dogs don't ask questions. And 3, they are better cuddlers. And I don't know, everybody's dog is different. Everybody's significant other is different. But for me, I can take issue with all 3 of those. Dogs don't interrupt. Zafira the dog in my household barks anytime anything comes within 1,000 yards of my house. And there's nothing I can do about it. So yeah, I'd consider that interrupting. I guess she doesn't ask questions, but neither does Mrs. Hudson. And 3, better cuddlers. I'm sorry, but my dog comes and sits on me without warning, without asking. It's not comfortable at all. I don't consider that good cuddling. That's not what I call good cuddling. And Regina's right. What's the point of watching a movie or TV show if you can't talk about it with somebody afterwards? I guess you could bend your dog's ear, but they're not going to chime in with their opinion, and that's not really a conversation. That's just one-sided, and you can do that completely alone. You don't even need a dog to do that. Trust me, I do it in here all the time. It feels like. So all in all, I'm going to give Mrs. Hudson credit. I'd much rather watch a movie with her than Zafira the dog. Good morning, NayNay.
Hello.
It's a good morning. It's a good morning. I want a good attitude here for this, even though it is ridiculous what we're about to do. This, I can't keep it a secret from you because it's on the actual, it's labeled on there.
I can't avoid it. I'm literally looking at it right now. What is this?
We are about to try cup noodles, Campfire s'mores, ramen noodles in sauce.
So we had a listener that actually texted a picture of this in when they first announced that this was even a thing.
Yeah.
And I quickly texted him back and I said, please don't show this to Hudson because I don't want to have to try this.
Oh, you know who was the first person to send this to me?
Who?
Nikki.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, she knew, she wanted to torture. But this, I mean, how bad can this be? I know it's a dumb creation. It's a stupid thing to make.
How bad can it be?
It's a stupid thing to make. But that doesn't mean it's going to be disgusting. I don't think it's...
How bad can it be? Are we being serious right now? Look at this. I mean...
But it literally looks like somebody just dumped a packet of hot chocolate into a cup noodles.
Do we have a trash can?
Yeah, but...
Okay, good.
I just don't... I mean, I don't think this is going to be disgusting. I just think it's going to be weird.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. Just the label right now is telling me it's gonna be weird.
Doesn't it smell good though? Does the Campfire s'mores cup noodles? It smells good.
It does smell pretty nice. I will say that it does smell nice, but I do not like the. Gosh, can't we just make regular noodles? Like, how hard is it to just have regular noodles? Why are we gonna add all this stuff
Ramen
to
noodles? They were good on their own. Like, why are they messing with them?
You didn't have to mess with it at all. We were fine. We didn't ask for this. So why did you give it to us?
Oh, it's hot. It's hot. Be careful. Okay. We probably should have let these cool for a few more minutes. This is literally like when it's recreating the s'mores experience, because it's when you toast a marshmallow and you're too excited, you eat it too fast and you burn your entire mouth.
Here we go.
All right. I was gonna say, make sure you get marshmallows. I think they all like disintegrate once they hit the water. Oh God! What do you think? I don't know if that reaction's like, oh, I like it, or it's nasty.
God. Okay. This didn't. I don't want to spit it out.
Yeah,
like the everything bagel ramen noodle one that we tried, but it's still not good. Like, I can very distinctly taste the noodle flavor and also taste the s'more flavor. And it just seems like someone put two things together that shouldn't have been put together.
I don't understand. I was looking at this because I was thinking, I don't even know if I think the noodle flavor is in our minds, because I don't think they put like whatever the seasoning is you would put in regular cup noodles. But that said, somehow it still has 35% of your sodium. Where's the sodium in this? What? Graham crackers, marshmallows are not salty. Why is there sodium in my cup noodles? I don't understand it.
People would actually. I just want to know who's eating this. I know we have to eat this for the show, but like, who is in their right mind saying, "Ooh, look, they have beef flavored noodles, they got regular flavored noodles, they got chicken flavored noodles, but I'm gonna take the s'mores flavored noodles over all of that." Huh? Doesn't make sense, man. Guys, I don't buy this. Please don't. Don't do that to yourself. Don't subject yourself to this disgusting thing. Just get regular s'mores. If you want to have ramen on the side, have ramen, but make sure it's on the side.
You know what's messed up is why this shouldn't be a thing is these are two different meals. Like a cup noodle is a cheap lunch and s'mores are like a dessert. Why are you mixing? You don't have, what meal would you eat this for?
I want to have a food fight where we just have regular noodles. Like, that would be nice. Just regular noodles.
Our Monday tradition on the Hudson Show is the box office breakdown, looking at what made money and what didn't in theaters over the weekend. Your number one movie of the weekend, once again, Despicable Me 4. It made another $44 million. People still love those Minions, man. That's over $211 million in North America in its first 2 weeks. Not too shabby. Also not too shabby. I think this is a big win for the movie Long Legs, which was very well reviewed. It's the new horror movie with Nicolas Cage. Brand new out this weekend. It came in second place with $22 million. Inside Out 2 knocked all the way down to number 3, making just $20 million, which still has it up over $572 million in North America total so far. A Quiet Place Day 1 is number 4 with $11 million. And Fly Me to the Moon made $10 million. Another new release this weekend. What did you see recently? Let me know at 8772 RadioU. I'll tell you that I've seen two things recently that could not be more different, I should say. One is Godzilla Minus One. I finally got around to watching it. It's a huge error on my part that I missed Godzilla Minus One all through Oscar season this year, even though it wound up winning. I'm glad it wound up winning. I think the movie, it takes a little while to get into it. You kind of have to settle in. They really establish the characters. You do see Godzilla early on, but for much of the earlier parts of the movie, it's character development, which is okay, but maybe made a little more difficult because it is in a different language. You're reading subtitles. But that said, there is a point in the movie where Godzilla shows up, and I was like, oh, okay, this must be like the end of the movie. Not because it was long, but because I was like, well, this seems like it's going to be the end. And I looked, and it still had an hour left, and I was like, oh, we're in for a good final hour. And so, it's not my favorite Godzilla movie, but it is very good. I understand why not only did it win the Oscar, but it was very well reviewed. Godzilla Minus One, a thumbs up from Hudson. The other movie I watched recently, you're going to laugh at this, I was talked into by some friends going to see Despicable Me 4, which just on its face is hilarious that there's so many other movies. You think about all the movies that have come and gone that I haven't gotten to see in theaters, and yet some friends are like, hey, Despicable Me 4, let's do it. And I go. Despicable Me 4, listen, it's not the worst movie you're ever going to see because it's still Steve Carell. You get Stephen Colbert makes an appearance. Some good characters. Some Will Ferrell, although his character's kind of annoying and off-putting. Spoiler alert, it's very early on in the movie. His character is a human cockroach. It's some of it is off-putting. I'll say that. There's a lot of story arcs that start and are never resolved. They're never brought back. They have no significance. I'm not sure why they're in the movie. It's not very well done. Let's put it that way. But it's colorful. It's frenetic. It keeps your attention, I suppose. You laugh maybe a time or two. Despicable Me 4, not my thing, but I understand why a lot of people are going to see it. Finally, I think this can be included here. I saw the trailer for Captain America Brave New World, and I think there's a lot to like about it. The only thing I want to point out is I'm usually trailer free on Marvel stuff. I haven't been holding to that for a while because, I want to be excited about a Marvel movie. And many times I go and I'm not excited. I want to be excited. I want something to excite me. The trailer is exciting. Lots of Harrison Ford as the president. I like that. I will say, if you're like me, you like to go spoiler free, you shouldn't watch the trailer because there is a reveal. I will say, you got a second here. Red Hulk is in the movie. They show Red Hulk in the trailer right at the very tail end. You don't need to see that. It'd be cooler if you saw it in the movie for the first time. Some Targets are instituting a new curfew for shoppers under the age of 16. People have been spotting signs at many Targets stating that anyone under the age of 16 must be accompanied by an adult after 6 p.m. Apparently, there's been a widespread issue of teenagers loitering and running amok in the aisles at Target, doing things such as throwing balls, playing catch with toilet paper, riding around on kids' bikes, and other ridiculous activities that are causing disturbances in the store. And so Targets are going so far as to just say, if you're under 16 after 6 p.m., you need an adult with you. Now, as someone over the age of 16, I want to say I think this is ridiculous. I feel bad for those of us that are under the age of 16. Not because I don't believe that, 14-year-olds are wreaking havoc in Targets. I'm sure that's the case. But just because you turn 16, 17, 22, 48 doesn't mean you stop being a menace at Target. I don't think I caused the most trouble at Target until I was at least like 23. So to ban 16-year-olds from the store without an adult after 6 p.m., I don't think it makes a lot of sense to me. Have you ever been kicked out of a store for any reason? I want to know where and why. Shoot me a text.
877-2-RADIO-U.
On the Hudson hotline if you've got a good story. Talking about Taco Bell. Well, I'll get to that in a second. Target, many of their locations have implemented a 6 p.m. curfew for shoppers under the age of 16. Apparently, the 15-year-olds and under have been causing havoc after 6 p.m., and so they need to be accompanied by an adult at Target. I asked, has anyone listening ever been kicked out of a store? A few people hopping in the group chat, like Regina, who says, come on, teens, that's Walmart behavior. That is actually so accurate. So true, Regina. And then Bailey got in. Bailey said that when he was 16, he got kicked out of a Taco Bell for a bet that his friends made with him that he wouldn't sing a song from our RadioU throwback channel, actually, Audio Adrenaline's Mighty Good Leader, at the top of his lungs. But how many, I'm sure the bet your friends paid for your Taco Bell, right? And honestly, I'm surprised Taco Bell kicked you out for that. I imagine that like 18 things worse than that happen at any given Taco Bell any day, and they kicked you out for singing. Last night was the home run derby in baseball. It also was quite possibly the worst national anthem performance at a major event in quite some time. Ingrid Andress, she's a country singer, apparently. She performed the anthem at the home run derby in Texas last night. It was bad. I watched it live while it was happening. My initial reaction was just maximum secondhand embarrassment. I felt bad for her watching it that first time. It was so uncomfortable. And after that first time, though, then I started going back to it. And listen, I wish I could play it for you here. Not allowed to, but do yourself a favor today and go ahead and look up the Home Run Derby anthem from last night. Because, again, the first time watching it live, super cringe, secondhand embarrassment. I felt bad. But then as you watch it, as I went back to it, now I can't get enough. I'm watching it over and over again. It's just that right kind of bad that's just so enjoyable. And but that said, I do still feel bad for Ingrid Andrews. I'm not familiar with her. I'm sure she's a fine singer. I don't know. Maybe this exposes her. Maybe her whole career is a fraud. But I think more likely, especially after I've heard it a few times now, it seems like there were some technical difficulties. She may not have been able to hear herself very well or something like that. And so she didn't know how bad it sounded until afterwards. And I don't think she said anything, addressed it yet. But hopefully, she can bounce back on her feet. And this isn't going to be the type of thing that sticks with her for a long time. People are comparing the anthem, if you want to talk about some of the other previous bad national anthems. Probably the worst before this was Fergie at the NBA All-Star Game in 2018, which I also remember watching live. And I would say that one is worse. It might not have sounded quite as bad, but Fergie was going for it. Fergie was trying. I think this gal, I think there were some kind of difficulties. She was kind of holding back a little bit, maybe because she knew that she couldn't hear, that something was going wrong. Fergie wasn't holding back at all. She was trying and just absolutely falling flat on her face. But yet again, I can't recommend enough going and looking up the Home Run Derby anthem from last night. And I'll say, not great for baseball that's the highlight. And there were many home runs hit. I watched for a while, but I think I figured out what's wrong with the Home Run Derby. And that is that because everything is timed now, the players are swinging while balls are still in the air, so you can't keep track. It's all just too, it's ironic in 2024, but it's too fast-paced. You don't know. You're seeing a ball flying through the stands. You don't know when he swung and hit. Nothing is attached to anything. So I guess that's neither here nor there, though. Yesterday, Italian scientists confirmed they found a cave on the moon and suspect there are hundreds more, and they could each be used to house future astronauts. The first cave that has been confirmed, they say it's a sizable cave accessible from the deepest known pit on the moon, just 250 miles away from where the Apollo 11 mission landed on the moon. Man, they really know how to make it sound nice, don't they? Hey, would you like to be an astronaut? You can go live on a cave on the moon. It's easy to get to. You just go to the deepest known pit. Why does it sound like we shouldn't be sending our greatest scientists there? And instead, that's where criminals should be sent. You got to go to the deepest pit on the moon. You live in a cave. Why don't you? Well, now there's no doubt about it. Watching sports is good for you, and you should be doing it. A study out of the UK found that people who attended a live sporting event in the past year are more satisfied with their lives, feel their lives are more worthwhile, and are less lonely than people who have not. Now, I can see what you may be saying right now. You're saying, Hudson, maybe that's just because they have money. They can afford to go to a live sporting event. It's expensive. And so they're just happier because they have more wealth, because they can afford things. Well, then I'll follow up with this. The study also found that watching sports on TV can also be good for your well-being, because it showed that people who watch sports on TV were also less depressed than those who did not. And depressive symptoms were even less likely the more often you watch sports. I think these findings apply to everybody except Chicago Bears fans, of course. But I love this study. It makes me feel really good that I'm not wasting my life away watching sports almost constantly, because it's good for me. Although I do feel like it's a bit of a slap in the face that this study comes out when there's next to no sports actually going on at the moment. Literally tomorrow, none of the 4 major sports are going to be happening. So but as soon as baseball returns on Friday, get right back at it. It's good for you. Let me know what you make of this. Country singer Miranda Lambert stopped her concert at Under the Big Sky Festival in Montana over the weekend. She paused the show to call out people that were facing away from her in the audience and talking to each other instead of paying attention to her. What do you make of this? First of all, you might be thinking that sounds familiar. It's because almost exactly a year ago, Miranda Lambert made headlines for stopping a show to call out people who are taking selfies during her show, which she also didn't like. I'm a little torn on this because I looked it up. Under the Big Sky Festival in Montana to get in for just for one day. Looks like it's about $150 to get in for the whole 3-day festival. Just for general admission, you're talking about over $350. So if I'm paying that kind of money to go to this festival, I feel like I should be able to do pretty much whatever I darn well please. But at the same time, the people next to you also paid that much money to get in. And so if you're whatever you darn well please is interrupting them and affecting their enjoyment of the show, then you shouldn't be able to really get away with that. However, I think we can agree that's not really Miranda Lambert's place to say. How does she know what's going on in the audience? It's bright up there. She can barely see. It's bright, the audience all dark and whatever. She doesn't know what's going on. And furthermore, when she's calling these people out, she's not saying, hey, you're stopping other people from enjoying the show. She's saying, hey, you're not paying attention to me. Give me attention. Look at me. Listen to me. Maybe you're just not putting on a very good show, Miranda. Maybe it's getting a little boring. Hey, if I stopped this show and paused it every time somebody wasn't paying attention to me, this show would never end. We got the Hudson Hotline open.
877-2-RADIO-U.
You can chime in with your thoughts on today's Love 'Em or Leave 'Em, where we have a gal who's upset because every time her and her boyfriend ride around with any of his family, he asks her to move to the back. They live far apart from where his family is, so I'm assuming here it's not specifically spelled out, but that, when they pick mom or the sisters up from the airport, or they come in from out of town, that the girlfriend is expected to sit in the back. She doesn't like this, makes her feel less than a priority compared to the rest of his family. How should she approach this, or should she just get over it? We'll start with Stephanie, who says, Good morning. I take this as a red flag. He sounds like a mama's boy to me. If he is, then his wife or girlfriend will never be priority to him, speaking from experience. That is a big accusation there from Stephanie, but you can definitely see it. I'll get to my thoughts here in a moment, but let's see. Gordon says, personally, I'd move to the back without being asked when we picked his mother up, but his sisters can go ahead and sit in the back seat themselves. I think you're reading through a few more of these. That's kind of the consensus is mom makes sense to possibly move back, because especially you think she's probably older. And even if she, still, just because she's a mom doesn't mean that she's not able to get around as well. But still, it's a sign of respect. Jasmine wanted to get in some more specifics here, saying, are we picking up from the airport or from down the street? I don't know if I would automatically move to accommodate the mother if it's a regular thing and we live in the same town. But if anyone has been traveling, that the kind of considerate thing to do would be to offer the front seat with legroom and windows. Regina says, I kind of get it, but unless whoever you're picking up has difficulty getting in the back, whomever is in shotgun stays unless they offer. A couple more to get here. Max says, mom is cool, especially if she helped buy the car. Oh, I guess that's true. I didn't think of that. Or if it's totally in her name. Okay, so in Max's eyes, whoever owns the car gets front seat. But he says, sister can and should ride in the back seat. Finally, Taylor says, I've gotten in the back seat naturally in order to let my partner have an easier time catching up with whoever it is. That's an interesting aspect to keep the conversation going. However, I really didn't think it's that big of a deal. I'll round it out by saying that I feel that, as a boyfriend, if we are going to pick up my mom from the airport, even in that case where I think it's definitely totally clear, it's a mom, you're picking him up from traveling, I still would not say, hey, babe, get in the back seat. That feels rude. It feels like she should know better. If she doesn't, if that's maybe a thing, then that's a little weird. But I don't think that the gal writing in here has a problem with getting in the back seat itself. It's that she's being asked to get in the back seat by her boyfriend every single time, no matter who they're picking up. And so I do see why that can be upsetting. I don't know that we really, none of us really addressed, how do you have a conversation with your boyfriend on this matter? Just say how it makes you feel. I think say, hey, do I have to get in the back seat every time we pick up your sister, maybe don't be that brash about it, but do we have to, like, why do I have to get in the back every time we pick up your sister, feel like, you know, you're putting her as a higher priority than me, and see where it goes. Maybe you'll get an answer you don't like, but at least you'll know. If you're already yearning for Christmas, you're not alone. The Hallmark Channel just can't wait to get Christmas going. I don't know if you know this. There's a Hallmark streaming service called, of course, Hallmark Plus. And launching this fall on Hallmark Plus, they just announced a show called Finding Mr. Christmas. Christmas movies aren't enough. Now Hallmark branching into Christmas reality shows. Finding Mr. Christmas is going to be a reality show competition to find the next actor to be a star in a Hallmark Christmas movie. They are going to have 10 guys competing. Only one will be chosen as Mr. Christmas. They're going to compete in competitions to prove their Christmas spirit as well as their acting skills. Show will be hosted by someone named Jonathan Bennett. Apparently he's in Mean Girls. Didn't know that. Don't know who it is, but he's the host of Finding Mr. Christmas, premiering this fall on Hallmark Plus. And here's what's crazy is that the guy who wins Finding Mr. Christmas, which I guess is filming right now, the winner will then go on to film a Hallmark Christmas movie the rest of this summer that will be premiering on Hallmark this fall, this winter for the Christmas season. Isn't that insane that many movies, good movies, and several bad ones as well, take years and years to put together, to go from script writing to the, actual filming to all the other stuff going in. Meanwhile, Hallmark Christmas movies, they're like, give us a guy who may have never acted before. We can get something done in like 3 months. Yeah, and people will still watch it because Christmas and love. Thanks for listening to The Hudson Show. Please don't forget to rate and review the podcast.